stakes have never been higher. What are we going to get a different type of President Trump rhetorically tonight against Joe Biden?
Well, President Trump is President Trump. I think we want to talk about policy tonight. I think it's very important that we differentiate that Joe Biden's going to raise taxes coming out of a pandemic day one. He wants to get rid of our energy independence, and President Trump wants to double down on the policies that are leading us out of this pandemic. You saw the record low unemployment claims. You've seen housing sales boom. You've seen 11.4 million jobs already added. So good things are happening. We want to keep that going.
I say this without humor. Tomorrow morning, we're only all talking about the mute button. Is that a win for Joe Biden?
I think, I think if Joe Biden actually has to answer a tough question tonight from the moderator, that would be a win for the country. We should understand if he's going to pack the Supreme Court. This commission answer was a non-answer.
So you think he needs to say yes or no?
He does. I mean, it's a fundamental reworking of the third branch of government, and it's upending what our country's been for over 100 years. This is a huge, huge policy change. It's a shift, getting rid of the filibuster. He needs to answer to the American people. Are you going to get rid of checks and balances?
On the issue of China in particular, especially U.S.-China relations, there's some nonpartisan agreement. I know, rare in a political year, but there does exist some of that. But what contrast do you hope President Trump makes with Joe Biden on China?
Well, of course, Joe Biden was for giving them favored nation status. Joe Biden has not been weak on China. I do think there are some things that need to be addressed with his son, and these emails that the Biden campaign has not refuted are true about Hunter saying with this Chinese energy company, let's negotiate a profit for my dad as he's vice president. We need to know that. It's corruption, and we need to understand what happened there.
Okay, take us behind the scenes, because you as the chairwoman of the Republican Party, you know all about early voting. More than close to 40 million Americans have already cast their ballot. I know that you're also very much in terms of the organizational effort of the Republican Party. Are you concerned with the increase in mail-in voters or no?
No, this is exactly what we saw in the special elections. So Democrats are getting their votes in by mail. We've seen this on many of these specials, and Republicans are more comfortable voting in person. We want Republicans to go vote early in person, but already in the states where early voting is starting, we're starting to see Republicans take leads.
Well, in Florida, let's focus on Florida, for example. Early voting is far out surpassing 2016 levels. Does that concern you?
No.
Or why? Explain to us why.
Well, because we're ahead right now in early voting. So early voting has started. We're starting to do the data on it. We feel good about what we're seeing with early voting, and that's been our push. So we shift from absentee ballots and pushing that to early vote. And we have a ground game of 2.5 million volunteers, the largest we've ever had in Florida. This is bigger than the Obama ground game, pushing our voters out to vote in person.
Yesterday, Chairwoman, I interviewed the chairman of the Democratic Party. I said, what keeps you up at night? And he's at the battlegrounds. He doesn't want to have a deja vu of 2016. I'm going to ask you the same question right now. What keeps you up at night? Is it Texas, which there's a Quinnipiac poll that has it neck and neck, or what gives you pause?
I'd say the battlegrounds, the 2016 states that were flipped in small margins for the president. We're not going to know. There's not going to be a single poll. There's going to be nothing that's going to say definitively where that's going to go. It is neck and neck again. So it's going to be our turnout operation. And for us, a lot of it's going to be in-person election day voting. So we need to make sure our voters turn out.
Okay, so how do you do that? Because if you take a district like Nevada 2, for example, where there's been an uptick in COVID-19 cases, that's an unknown. So take us behind the scenes in your operational ground game for how you're trying to turn out the vote to make those conservative districts, as Rick Grinnell told me, bleed blood red.
Well, it's a touching that voter with many different ways, not just TV, digital, mail, live dials, and then door knocks. And the door knocks are critical because there's a stage where TV's saturated with diminishing returns. You can't do another mail piece, and digital's not reaching them at the same level that they're going to click it, and it has an impact. So those door knocks are going to be critical with our customized data and turning out those low propensity voters that we may or may not vote. And we need to get them to the polls on election day.
I gotta say, it's kind of refreshing to hear the chairperson of a party say there's too many political ads. I never thought I would hear that on debate night.